After World War II and through the late 1950s, urban populations in the South were growing rapidly. But in Tennessee, voters in cities did not have as much influence in state elections as did voters in rural areas, because it took more votes to elect a representative from a more populous district than from a sparsely populated district. In 1961, Charles Baker, an elected official who lived in a Shelby County suburb of Memphis, decided it was time for change.
Hi, I'm Doug Ginsburg, and I'm a federal judge. Charles Baker and other voters sued Joseph Carr, the Tennessee Secretary of State, claiming that the state's redistricting system was unconstitutional. Baker argued that Tennessee's failure to redraw its legislative districts for over 60 years, even though the state constitution required doing so every 10 years, ignored significant population shifts from rural to urban areas, thereby diluting the voting power of individuals in more populous areas, such as Shelby County. He claimed that unequal voting districts violated the 14th Amendment guarantee of equal protection of the law. The federal district court ruled against Baker, and he then appealed to the Supreme Court. The key issue was, do federal courts have jurisdiction over questions of legislative redistricting? Or is redistricting a political question committed to another branch under the Constitution, and therefore beyond the power of the federal courts? Justice William Brennan concluded that legislative redistricting was a justiciable issue. In other words, an issue suitable for a federal court to hear and decide on the merits of the case. After oral arguments, the justices voted 6-2 that the issue was justiciable. Justice Brennan wrote the opinion. 2 justices joined his opinion, 3 justices concurred but with different reasoning, 2 dissented, and 1 recused himself. The court held that the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment provided a basis on which to challenge unequal representation. That amendment states that no state shall deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the law. Baker versus Carr started the Supreme Court down the road to an ideal of one person, one vote, in which everyone's vote has equal weight. Redistricting plans are still frequently challenged, and in some cases overseen by state or federal courts, or even redrawn by the court itself, an ideal that is difficult to achieve.
Baker versus Carr was decided in favor of Baker by a 6-2 majority vote in 1961. The key principle was the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. This case held that redistricting did not raise political questions, allowing federal courts to hear other cases that challenge redistricting plans that may violate the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment.